Welcome to Inspiration Rising. I'm your host, David Trotter, and we're here to inspire you to rise up in your life, love, and leadership. Well, do you have piles of paper all around your house? What about cans and boxes of food spilling out of your pantry? What about clutter, gathering dust all around in the nooks and crannies and things that you've got piled up on the counter and underneath your bed? What about that mountain of laundry that never gets put away? Well, let me introduce you to Kristi Clover, an efficiency expert and a homeschooling mom of 5 kids ranging in age from preschool to teen. She's the author of M.O.M, Master Organizer of Mayhem, simple solutions to organize chaos and bring more joy into your home. She's also the host of the Simply Joyful podcast. And aside from her family and chocolate, she's passionate about encouraging and inspiring families by offering simple solutions for a more joy-filled life. In this episode, you're going to learn why Kristi is so passionate about organization, the 2 most challenging experiences for families, why systems are absolutely necessary, and how to tackle that mountain of laundry. Now, by the way, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the Inspiration Rising podcast on Apple or Google Podcast apps or Spotify or Stitcher. Just open up the app, search for Inspiration Rising, and click subscribe to have access to all the amazing conversations that I have the opportunity of hosting with inspirational female leaders who share their wisdom with you. All right, let's jump into my conversation with Kristi Clover. Well, Kristi, thanks so much for taking some time to hang with me today. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. This is going to be fun. I'm excited.
Okay, so why and how did you become so passionate about organization? I love organization too, so I'd love to hear your testimony, Kristi, of how organization changed your life.
I love it, right? Now I'm like, how has my life ever been changed? Well, it's an ongoing process too, but really it came from, I refer to it lovingly as the dark days that we experienced. When we first moved to San Diego, I had 2 little tiny people, so a 3-month-old and a 20-month-old, so 2 babies. My husband went from just normal travel schedule to covering 2 territories. So he was gone all the time. In like a 6-month period, we'd had 2 or 3 surgeries. My husband had an emergency surgery.
Oh my goodness.
I had an unforeseen surgery. We had, stress in our marriage. We had family dynamics at play. We had everything you can think of. And we had just moved into what I thought was going to be my dream house, and everything was going wrong. And it was just one chaotic moment after another. And I kind of put my white flag up and I'm like, I can't do this. And what really hit me then was that I could not control a lot of the things happening to me and happening in our lives. But there were some things that I could take control of. And one of the things was to dig myself out of the chaos and start getting more organized. And so it really became a focus for me of, okay, I have complete chaos and I'm totally overwhelmed, but what steps can I take right now to bring a little bit more order to our day?
I find that my sock and underwear drawer is most organized when I feel most out of control in life.
Everybody's got to have their spot. I laugh because for my sock and underwear drawer to be organized, it means that everything else in the house better be pretty darn organized, because I'm like, it's going in a drawer. I'm going to close the drawer and that closet's going to look good. But for me to take the time to make it look good in that area of the house, man, but I have other weird things. Yeah, I have other weird things. Like the pantry is probably the one place that consistently I organize because it's controllable, and it's the one place I can walk in and kind of be like, yay.
That's great. Well, in the beginning of your book, one of the first things that you tell me to do is embrace my inner organizer.
Yes.
What if I'm a total wreck? You really believe that every single person has an inner organizer inside of them?
I think sometimes they're hiding out, but I think you can learn it, if anything. But yes, so you can be a complete wreck, and that's perfect. Everybody's got to start somewhere. And sometimes for me, I was in that state of overwhelmed. I was a wreck, and I had to find my inner organizer and shake her and wake her up a little bit. And so I had to learn. And sometimes what I find is that when there are those problem areas, a lot of times I'm just not finding the right system to use for that particular problem. So what I had to do is stop paying attention to what all the experts were saying. And for me, it was breaking rules. That's a lot of the systems I came up with are horrible, crazy rule breakers. Like Emily Barnes would be like, oh, what are you telling people
Sure.
to do? But, for me, I was in survival mode. And so I really do believe that there is an organizer instead of everyone. And some people, it's just naturally there. And other people, you got to dig a little deeper to discover that person hiding out inside.
So you wouldn't say that you grew up as like a total organizational freak kid? Because I was a kid who had a map of my room, literally a piece of paper, and I would draw out the new arrangement of how I would want to organize my room and shuffle it so it would be most effective, efficient, creative, so forth. Like I love doing that. Like that was not you.
Well, my mom taught me if I wanted to move furniture to do that. But if you ask anyone in my life who knew me all the way through high school, I was a complete wreck. Like I had one clean spot in my bedroom for me to get to the bed. So I could hop from the doorway to the bed. To that spot to the bed. I was a complete mess. And it wasn't until college that you started seeing hints of my little inner organizer coming out, where I really found because I was living in a small room with another person. And so that's when it started kicking in a little bit. And so I remember my mom coming over to visit one time, and then even all of my high school friends would come over and they'd be like, what in the heck? Like, what happened here? And I'm like, oh, look at my desk drawer. I'm like, look, I found little boxes that fit in these spaces. And what I do, when I think back, I actually was always good at like spatial organization. I was the one, if you wanted to pack a car, you asked me, like, it will fit. And I still laugh today because like, we'll go get back from Costco. I'm like, it's not all going to fit in the car. And I'm like, who are you talking to? I can do it.
Totally.
Don't even get me started. I'm like, in fact, one time it's a longer story, but I had a moment with my kids where I'm like, I am the queen of Tetris.
Of course.
Of Tetris playing in my head.
My family just dumps all the bags at the back of the car and just goes, Dad, work your magic. And, I make it happen. It's so fun.
I love it. Yes.
It is a challenge. Okay. So in your book, you share 10 simple rules to change my home life. Obviously, we don't want to go through all of them because we want people to buy the book. And as I've mentioned, it's called Master Organizer of Mayhem, Simple Solutions to Organize Chaos and Bring More Joy into Your Home. And we'll, of course, have the link to Amazon in our show notes. You can just swipe up now on your phone and click that link. But if there were a couple of rules that you would want to give us as a taste test, just kind of whet our palate. Is that what you say? Whet our palate? That sounds gross. Just a little taste. It's like a Costco. It's like
teaser.
It's like a Costco sample of the Mom book. There we go. I love Costco samples. If you're listening outside the United States, it's a store that gives you food, and people wait in line to get a little bite. What is up with that? They wait in line to get a little bite.
No, our Costco sampled cookie dough the other week, and my kids were like, can we stop by again? So we did. I'm like, not right away. We have to come back. So hopefully they don't remember us.
Take off your jacket. They won't.
I know. I'm like, mess your hair up a little.
What are a couple of rules that you would want to give us as a Costco sample of the Mom book?
Costco sample. We have a lot of the basics. Yes, go ahead.
Mom, can I even read this book? Yes. I'm not a mom.
You can read it. It is for anyone who wants to get more organized in your life. I really came at it from the perspective of, I feel like moms and dads, so not to exclude a father, so you can read it. But I feel like a lot of the trendy organization, how to get organized stuff does not take in mind a house full of children. Yes. So whether you have one child or, little kids or big kids or whatever, you have all these extra hands and feet who, when that picture in your head you have before you have children of, they're all going to listen to what I say, and it's just going to be this perfect June Cleaver, leave it to Beaver moment. No, it doesn't happen. They are independent little people and big people, and they, have to make good choices too. And not everybody makes the choice to be organized. So it's all good.
I don't even know if this is the case. Marie Kondo doesn't have kids, does she?
She now does have kids, but not when she started it. And she was organizing everyone at the age of 8 or something, I think I read. And so, she's a naturally organized person. And she started out organized. So a lot of people don't start there.
She didn't start out with kids. So let's see what her life's like now.
I know.
Okay. So this could be the dad version, the disaster of dust. No, that's an of. A, what would that be? Disaster action.
Averter.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll think about that. Come on,
I know. No, we've
Kristi,
actually toyed with it.
Let's focus on this, Kristi.
Okay, Costco sample. Okay, so
give me some rules. Which one?
Some of the rules. So, I mean, we do have like the basic rules, like you got to declutter. I mean, the less you have to, pick up, the better. But I'm not a minimalist. So, but I do have some great tips on how to declutter. Prioritizing is a big one too. But one of the things that really differentiates my book from other books is my glean and tweak technique. And that's the fact that we don't have to start from scratch. Like, look and see what other people are doing well. So if you have friends in a similar lifestyle and they don't have the paper piles that you have in your house, ask them what they do. So, and I did that for something. I mean, I definitely, paper piles are my, oh my goodness, it's my kryptonite. I am so bad. My husband refers to them as the Kristi piles. And I try really hard. I mean, it is the area that I constantly struggle with because I'm a visual organizer. So I kind of have to see it to remember to get to it. But I had one girlfriend tell me, I just set an appointment with myself. And so every Thursday morning I have an appointment with myself. And I was like, okay, I can do that. So Thursday came, my appointment came, and my appointment went, and I just didn't care. So I realized what was big for me is at first I felt like a failure. And I'm like, I'm never going to do this. I'm never going to figure it out. But what it finally dawned on me is that, well, I could tweak this and make it work. So maybe just, on Thursdays, I do try to make sure I clear my calendar a little bit, but, make it more organic. So it's not like at 10 o'clock. Because there was something to me about having that set time of, oh my gosh, okay, I've got to get to this. So, and it wasn't always paper piles. So maybe it just became a Thursday habit of, I did something that would tidy up. And then eventually I did get to my paper piles. And I found people who had better systems. So my mother-in-law had a great system for how she organizes paperwork. So you kind of just have to start
Tell me about it. Tell me what she does.
So my mother-in-law, she has this whole system with binder clippers. She has different colored binder clippers for different types of, paper piles. And so it was, to me, I was like, wow, because it fit in with my visual side of things. I needed to see things. So personally, I learned to have a drawer where I could keep things, but I had to keep them in order so that things didn't get lost. So if you use the binder clip, the colored binder clips that worked.
So what colors for what things? Like one color would be for...
Oh, goodness. So if you had bills, I would say take out and put somewhere. We do a lot of our, banking and bill paying online, and my husband deals with that. But bills to me, in my world, they go on my husband's desk. So praise the Lord, that is his strength, and that I let him do that. But if there's other things, so coupons actually now have a specific basket by the back door, and I only keep the ones I know I'm going to use. And I used to save all the ones of like, oh, this looks like a fabulous restaurant. And I used to have this little box for them, and that became one more area that just clean clutter. Now it's literally, I think we keep like El Pollo Loco. So some of our favorite little fast foodie things, Subway, and then Bed Bath & Beyond. And that's it. And I do not keep any other coupons. But initially those would be like, maybe pick like a color that you want. So, blue, because it would match your Bed Bath & Beyond coupons. And then anything that needs to get, red, you could use a red binder clipper. So something you want to come back to, whether it's a magazine or a newspaper. And the key is that with a binder clipper is that you could get the massive ones.
Mega ones.
If you keep it small, then it makes you have to get through and actually take action on that, because nothing else is going to keep fitting in that. So, there's all different ways, because now I use file folders and I actually do tab them. And I'm getting a lot better at just throwing things out, because I literally will get a magazine and be like, and I know in my heart of hearts, I will never look at that. And so it just goes straight into recycling.
I quit subscribing to them.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
And they want to give them to you now. It's like $5 for the whole year of GQ. I'm like, yeah, it's just going to sit there. Okay. Yeah. Rule number 4 is do your worst thing first. Tell me about this rule.
Oh my goodness. Well, speaking of that inner organizer, so many people get paralysis, like that analysis paralysis, where they think of that one problem here. Because my number one tip is, like where to start if you are feeling like a complete hot mess and you walk throughout your house going, oh my goodness, it is chaotic. I tell people pick one thing. Just pick one thing and start there. But what I've found is that when you do start by picking a project that's completely intimidating. I mean, you can do either way. You can pick one small project that's going to be an actionable thing, kind of get your feet wet doing that. But there's that one project that usually moves from to-do list to to-do list.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I did in this chapter is I taught people how to devise action steps, a plan of attack of how to get in and get it done, because that thing will always be looming.
Mm-hmm.
And so once you take on your worst project and you conquer it, you feel like you can take on the world. And that is when you put on your little organizer cape and you're like, I am like the M.O.M, or we'll find a DAD for you.
Yeah, we're going to have to find that. Okay, so the worst thing, as you are connecting with people, what do you find is the worst thing overall for most people? You know what I mean? Like what area of the home or life or whatever?
Okay, so there's actually two things that I hear all the time, and it usually comes up when I admit that I have 5 kids, is people are always asking about feeding people. So meal planning, how do you feed people? And then laundry. So those are probably the 2 areas that I hear the most complaining about. I mean, you've got the normal like kitchen, family room, toys, all that kind of stuff. But I would say more than anything, it's how do I get food on the table consistently, and how do I get laundry done?
Mm-hmm. And so those could be messes, but those are also just sound like systems of like, how do I think about those things? So it's not necessarily, I mean, I guess it's organizing your time. It's organizing some of the resources. It's thinking about organizing in a little different way. I often think of more mess, but you're thinking about more a system.
Yeah. So with meals, definitely a system. But I mean, think about the laundry. A lot of times people's mess is the fact that they have dirty laundry everywhere and they have clean laundry everywhere.
True.
And sometimes you can't tell the difference. Mm-hmm. And I would say in bedrooms, most of the time, that is what's accumulating, is either the dirty laundry stacking up, or you have like, the mountain of laundry that is never getting folded. Mm-hmm. And so, but the way to attack everything, I mean, that's one of the things I really want people to understand, is that when you look at the definition of organization, it says nothing about perfection. So I am here to tell people to give themselves grace and to start systematizing, because systems are exactly what organization is all about. So you need to find systems that work. So when it comes to laundry, I have a boatload of, I actually have an entire chapter just on laundry systems, because there are little tweaks you can make. Now, my family dynamic is going to be different than your family dynamic.
You've got a lot of clothes. We have a ton of clothes. Kristi. So take me there. In the second chapter of the book, phase 2, it's all about frameworks. So you've got 6 systems that you share: decluttering systems, organizing systems, storage systems, chore systems, kitchen systems, laundry systems. I don't see anything about garage systems, but okay.
That's in the organizing one. I actually do talk about that.
All right. So let's go to the laundry systems. Before we continue, I want to encourage you to share the Inspiration Rising podcast with a friend. I started this show in January 2019 with a passion to help women and the men who support them be inspired through conversations with female entrepreneurs and leaders and coaches. And the primary way that people learn about the show is through word of mouth. I don't have some big ad budget to spread the word, so I rely on listeners just like you to share how the show has inspired them. So if you're enjoying our conversations, would you mind taking a moment and encouraging a friend to subscribe to the Inspiration Rising podcast on Spotify, Stitcher, Apple, or Google podcast apps? And if your friend doesn't know how to listen to a podcast, take a moment and teach them. Help the listeners out today. If their laundry is a disaster, what would be their first step?
Well, I have a cute little acronym called SMART for laundry, but I will throw an extra one in there. And so this is my biggest, best tip for if you want to get through your laundry better, is do smaller loads. When you start with small loads, like if I have a large load of darks, I separate them out, because washer to dryer, I can fold that load fast and I can get it put away fast. And so it's not as intimidating. So it's almost like you have to find these mental roadblocks. Like when I look at a huge load of clean laundry, I feel overwhelmed. I'm like, it's going to take me forever to get that done. And even though in my mind, I know it's not going to take that long, I just need to get it done. Just tear down and get it done.
Mm-hmm.
No, like if it's a small load, I look at it and I go, that's going to take me 5 minutes, so then I can get my
But
laundry
don't you feel like
done
your laundry's
faster.
always like, then you're doing laundry all the time if you're doing small loads?
All the time. Well, so the other system we use in our home, and everybody's got to pick their own one, is that everybody's assigned a laundry day. So I'm only doing laundry once a week. So I'm doing it on Saturday. I do both my husband and my laundry. I can knock out 3 to 4 loads in no time flat, because I'm breaking them into smaller loads. I'm setting a timer. So that's I think that's my R's. Remember to switch your loads. So SMART is sort by gender. For the S, M. Okay, this is going to test me.
Why would I
M
sort
is
by,
mesh bags.
Why would I sort by gender?
Okay, so this
rather
would be
than by colors.
Yes. No. So we're going to temperature sort. So we're going to temperature sort for big. But if you have small kids in the house, so the S of SMART for that acronym is sort by gender. If you have and even by sizes. So you just want to make sure, because what I found when I had 2 little boys and now I have 2 little girls, their clothes all look the same. And I was wasting so much time trying to separate, was this a size 2 or size 4? Sometimes I was trying to match them like twins. So I would just separate their clothes. So I would separate, my older daughter's clothes from my younger daughter's clothes. So, so I guess it would be more like separate the kids' clothes instead of just separating.
So you wouldn't wash them together, so that when you're folding them or putting them away, it would save time and less confusion.
Right, exactly. Okay, so yeah, okay. I guess I'm like, see, this is where I am testing my memory. I've done this in a ton of TV segments. I'm like, what is my S? But no, you are separating out by kid. So not just the gender, but separating it by kid and by sizes. So that way everyone has their own laundry. Because then it's just, I'm focused on this person's laundry. It's done and it's put away and it's just faster. The M is going to be mesh bags. And so if you have anything that is not in need of going in the dryer, because we all forget, like when I'm doing my laundry, it almost drives me crazy if my husband steps in and does it, because I'm like, oh no, he's not going to know to pull the sweater out. Yeah. But if I have everything that I don't want to go in the dryer in a mesh bag, then he automatically knows. So that's just a rule in the house. If you are moving somebody's laundry from the washer to the dryer, you've got to take out everything in the mesh bag. And the key is to take it out of the mesh bag and politely, at least. So it's not like in a heap, mildewing and molding. Yeah. And then the A, avoid the iron. And so with avoiding the iron, we are pulling clothes out straight from the dryer and putting them onto hangers, or we're folding them immediately. And the key there with your family is to have the right tools. So we have this cute little flip fold little doodad that our kids absolutely love. And it cracks me up because they get excited to do their laundry because they love using this little flip fold. It's a thing they use in the Gap to make all the shirts look perfect. Right. And it's super easy. And the kids just think it's so fun.
And you can get that on Amazon, I assume.
You can totally, get it on Amazon. It's called Flip Fold on Amazon.
Flip Fold. Okay. So we've got sort, we've got mesh bag, we've got avoid the iron. Okay. So when I was a kid, my mom would not let me buy clothes that had any dry clean only. That was like off the limits. I mean, if it was a dry clean, it was like, you're not getting that. You can't have that. And even if it was... white shorts. Couldn't have white shorts. Could not have white shorts.
I'm kind of with her on that one.
They couldn't have that. No white pants. Pretty much no white shirt. I mean, I mean, it was really pretty limiting on certain like rayon, anything that couldn't be in the dryer. Nope, can't buy that. Nope, can't buy that. It just, it was also 30 years ago when there were less types of fabrics. Like now, I mean, so many things can't even go in the dryer. Our back patio has so many clothes from my wife and my daughter that just, have to be air dried. Otherwise you're going to look like a 4-year-old or something.
Yep.
Okay. So you're avoiding the iron. Do you take things to the dry cleaner? Do you have dry clean clothes like your husband's dress shirts or anything?
No longer. Well, his suits we used to, he just retired. So, but what we did is that, so suits did get dry clean because you can't really avoid that. Right. But we did switch to a non-dry clean shirt, a shirt that could actually go into the dryer and pull out and be pretty darn good without an iron. So we did switch to those. Fabrics, so that was one. And again, right? They make all these amazing fabrics now. So we try not to buy things that are dry clean only. And I will admit that I do cheat. And so those things that say delicate cycle only, that's going in a mesh bag too. I mean, it's just,
Okay.
I just try to get things that if it needs any kind of special TLC, it's going in a mesh bag. And so if it can't go in a mesh bag, then it's probably not going to get washed and it's going to sit in the corner of my closet. So I try not to buy things like that.
Right. What do you do with like your fur coats and, like what do you do with those?
All of my, designer fur coats, I don't have any. Okay. So I would say you can also focus on, a lot of laundry system is going to also come down to your buying habits. Mm-hmm. So if you are a fur coat person and you really need those, then absolutely, you're going to have to work dry cleaning into your schedule. I used to have back when, we did need to go to the dry cleaner on a regular basis. That was when I was dropping dry cleaning off on Monday. And then, whenever it was ready, I was picking it up. So I kind of had a little routine. And then by the end of our, dry cleaning days, we found a dry cleaner near us that would actually either deliver or pick up. And so you can find solutions like that out there just to make your life easier. For heaven's sakes, we can type in an order and have it show up on our doorstep. So why not do that with dry cleaning as well?
Sure. We have our house manager take the furs to a fur, cleaning place. They do that once a week. She wears them.
Do you really have fur coats?
Of course. Yeah. Our house manager.
Here in Orange County.
Yeah. It's amazing.
You're amazing house manager.
She wears her fur coats too. She's a kindergarten teacher. So she finds that they're a great technique for the kids to quiet down.
I love it.
So let's see. So we're on avoid the iron. What's R?
R is to remember to switch your loads. So set a timer. So really the R is remember, but it's a timer. So whether you're setting a little, digital reminder on your watch, on your phone, the key is to not set it on a timer that's just going to go off once and not keep reminding you. So you want to make sure it's something that makes you turn it off and go take action, because that is the big thing. If you leave your clothes in the washer or the dryer and forget to move them, then it just gets it's not a pretty picture.
Because of the wrinkle.
We have a front loader. Well, we have a front loader washing machine. And so you forget your load for more than, probably, goodness, if I do it in the morning and I don't get to it until night, that's dangerous because it's going to start smelling mildewy. So front load dryer washing machines are they're not all that I thought they were going to be.
We still have the top load. We're
very
very poor people. Top load. Okay. So remember the timer, and then T is what?
Temperature sorting. So instead of looking at the whites, brights, and darks, I'm looking at what can I throw in a load that's going to be washed on cold. And so I mostly do this for my husband. My teens now do, 2 different loads. So they have their hot for their whites and then they're cold for their darks. But I'm looking at, what's going to get washed in cold, what's going to get washed in, so kind of bleed factor as well, but what can get washed on warm and what can get washed on hot. And definitely paying attention to bleed factors there.
Okay. So I don't know anything about this. Colors, I always think, colors of clothes. Now you're talking temperatures. So what colors? And the people listening are probably going, Dave, why do you ask these stupid questions? But that's okay.
No, they're probably like, yes, what is that?
So what can be washed in hot? What can be washed in,
So really it is going to be that bleed factor. So reds and, dark blues, dark colors tend to bleed.
Right.
And so those are the ones that want to be washed on cold. And what I was finding is that the brights, so it's whites, brights, and darks.
Right.
And the brights, half the time, those are the clothes that have to be washed on cold anyway. So like my husband has some dark teal shirts that I was just looking at those going, I'm like, I cannot wash that with all these other things. So I might do a gray or, a pastel or like a lighter colored clothes. I can wash those in warm if they're not brand spanking new. If they're brand spanking new, then they're probably going to get washed on cold the first time.
Okay.
And then your hot is going to be your whites and maybe some of the pale colors that are fine to use that with.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Ooh, man. So we got through
I'm
smart.
telling you, laundry's a thing. We have to be clothed. So
I know. And I live in a bit more of my wife handles the laundry, in our home. She doesn't trust the house manager to do it correctly. I'm kidding, of course. So this is amazing. Okay, so we've got time for another system. Can we go through another system? Is that okay?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, so out of the decluttering, organizing, storage, chore, and kitchen systems, let's go with kitchen systems because you talk about organizational and meal planning systems. Talk me through this. If I'm feeling like, oh, I should just pick up some pizza, or should I get the box meals that are coming to my house with the produce and the meat that's coming in the mail? Or should I, cook everything from scratch, organic? Or should I just have Hungry Man TV trays?
Well, that is a personal question. If you love it, then, go for it. But if you are wanting to, and it really comes down to, do you have a plan for that? So let's say you want to do a combination of all of those or whatever it is, you just need to have a plan. So I kind of was forced to learn this when it came to meal planning. And I didn't realize that a lot of people out there go to the store every couple of days or every day. Like, I'm going to make this for dinner. I need to stop at the store and pick it up. But when we first moved to San Diego, we lived in a part of San Diego that I was about 20, 30 minutes from, a normal grocery store or like a Costco. And that doesn't sound like it's horrible, but when you have two tiny people who are on nap schedules, like my window of opportunity to get outside of the house was so slim because my husband was traveling. So I was all about getting the naps so the kids would sleep so that I could have a little sanity at night. So for me, I learned to just create a meal plan. And so I did. And the biggest thing with a meal plan is you're looking at your week. You're kind of paying attention to, this is a night we are going to have to order pizza. This is a night that, hey, if you are getting one of those box meal options, we are going to make it on this night because
are you doing this on a Saturday or Sunday, or when are you doing your meal plan?
It really depends. I tend to do it on a Friday or Saturday right now.
Okay.
It's just, sometimes it's when we run out of food and I realize it is time to go to the store. And so it's really just whenever you plan to do it. Because sometimes our meal plan, because I try to keep us stocked up on some easy meals. So we always have pasta. We always have rice. We always have marinara sauce, so I can come up with some magical combination of something if I need to. So when I'm kind of running too low and I missed my opportunity to do my normal shop, that's when I have to make a meal plan and go to the store. So very rarely will you ever find me going to the store without a meal plan because I've just learned it doesn't really work long term. So I try to figure out what meals are going to be good for me. So I actually am a crock pot lover. People are onto this whole Instapot thing. I'm still learning, but it has failed me a few times, so I'm a little gun shy. But I really love the crock pot because it allows me to throw things in the morning or in the afternoon and not think about it. So I literally have days on my calendar when I know it's going to be busy or when I know we have a lot going on and I just don't want to have to think about dinner at 5:00. So I just know that that's going to be a crock pot day. And so I will get that all put together. And if I was truly like crazy organized as far as like I didn't struggle with it like a lot of people do, I would be I'm going to do a freezer meals and I'm going to plan out a month of food. I mean, I have friends who God bless them. They are so good and they will plan out their entire month and they will have things in the freezer ready to go. And they're just really good at that. And they're only buying like the fresh produce that they need each week. But I don't find myself in that category all the time. I do enjoy a good freezer meal and sometimes I'll double a recipe on a night and freeze one and we'll eat one. So I kind of start stockpiling, but yeah, I'm not there.
And where do you get most of your recipes?
Oh, goodness. A lot of times I'll look, I've been having fun. I mean, Pinterest is a great place, but I Google it. Sometimes I'm like, I've got rice. So this is one that I Googled recently. I'm like, I have rice, I have chicken, and I had some canned artichoke hearts. I'm like, I bet there's some yummy, delicious thing I can make with this. And I found something. And luckily we have a lemon tree at the back of our property. So like whatever it was some like Greek type of chicken thing. It was awesome. It was so good. But I was like saying to my son, I'm like, go find a lemon. He found like one that was like the size of my face practically. And of course the lemon inside was tiny. But it worked. We had lemon juice. So that's when I just Google it half the time. And I know that All Recipes is a good one. Taste of Home, Food Network. There's all kinds of places like that. I mean, and as much as I love every once in a while sitting down and watching Food Network shows, I try to steer myself more towards people on the Food Network who are going to make realistic meals. I mean, as much as it's amazing to see what they can make in a restaurant, I'm not running a restaurant.
Of course.
I'm like, God bless you. That must be delicious, but I'm not going to have time to do that.
So this meal with rice and artichoke hearts and a lemon, did you put chicken in it, you said?
Oh, yeah, and chicken.
Okay, did the kids all like it? Like, what happens? You're coming up with some crazy stuff here.
I know that one was a little more unique for them. But no, we kind of have a rule. You got to eat what's served. We have 5 kids. And if I had to make a specialized meal for each person, that's just not going to work. So we always tell them, this is our little rule. You have to eat whatever you like first, and then you can ask. Then they have permission to be like, do I have to eat the artichoke hearts? And then, of course, like my husband and Steve and I are like, no, you don't. Give them to us. So we're totally fine with that. But they have to eat the chicken. And for the most part, the chicken was like your basic, I think I did like a little salt, pepper, flour. And then the artichoke was more of like a little accent flavor that went on it. Sure. And so sometimes I'll tweak a recipe to kind of make it so they can deconstruct it a little bit.
Yeah.
Eat around the stuff that I know they're not going to like, but they've got to eat part of it. And then if it is a vegetable that they're not eating, then the rule is also you have to go find something in the refrigerator. So they have to go either make themselves a little salad, get some cucumbers, get some carrots. So we do make sure that they try to eat a little something there too. So that's the way we make it work.
You're mean. Oof.
I know.
Jeez.
But they actually my kids enjoy cucumbers and carrots. 16. He's 16 now. Oh my goodness. We have 2 drivers. My 16-year-old, he's liking celery these days. And I catch him all the time just eating celery. And he read some articles somewhere about how celery is good for something. And I was like, okay, you'll eat it. Go for it. So.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, so one of the big issues that I know a lot of women that listen to the podcast have is that their partner or the kids in their life, are probably a big challenge, when it comes to organization, when it comes to the mayhem of madness of all the things flying everywhere. How do you deal with that? Like, how do you help get a partner or kids on board?
Well, I think the most important thing is making sure you're finding systems that work for your unique situation. So it's not going to be something that's you're only thinking about yourself. Like, oh, this system works with how I think. You have to also think about your kids and your spouse. So I know, I remember having a girlfriend that she was just like, if I find boxers on the floor one more day, I'm going to die. And so for her, my advice was, well, get a hamper and put it in the middle of the bathroom. Put it somewhere that's like really easy. Because if you have to like take the boxers downstairs, the hamper in the laundry room, that's not going to happen. Right. So you have to have the right tools in the right place. So if that's what I found is with kids, then maybe, okay, so I'm going to admit this. When it was just my 2 oldest, I had this little storage thing that was labeled. It was great. It was so the cars went here and the Lego men went here and everything was kind of sorted out. But what I've realized, subsequent children later is I just had 2 baskets. Just throw the toys in the baskets, get them done, tuck it away. And it bothered me a little bit because so we do still have a Lego bin, but for all the other small toys that were coming out, it got too crazy trying to get everybody. It was too hard for them to do it. So you need to find a system that is workable and easy for the people in your life. And the big thing is they not only have to have the right tools in the right place, but they have to know where the homes for things are. Because if you're creating fabulous places for things to go and no one in your home knows, then that doesn't help, which is why labeling is really helpful as well. And we just did a complete renovation of most of our downstairs. And so we're still just getting things put away. And the tongs are cracking me up. So we have these big old blue tongs that I need more than anyone else, but people are using them for whatever it is that they happen to be using them for. And they keep getting put away in the most random places. So I found myself last night holding up the tongs. I'm like, to all the people in the Clover household, look at these tongs. These are going to fit in my serving category because I use them for serving. And so therefore they are going in this drawer where all the serving utensils are. And so, one day in, they're in the right spot, but who knows? I just keep reminding people. And sometimes I try to be silly like that to remind people.
Sure.
And I don't have labels up right now, But I do tend to label even the inside of my refrigerator to help people know where things should be going so we don't have duplicates. And, so there's all kinds of little techniques like that are really helpful for everyone else in the household to kind of get on board and kind of figure things out.
Okay. So the book, as I've mentioned, is labeled M.O.M, Master Organizer of Mayhem. Who would you say that the book is for, and how will it benefit them? Give us your sales pitch. Like, I want to sell some books here. Okay. Like,
I love it. All right. So this book is really for anyone looking to get a little bit more organized, who have, whether you have tried and failed at other books or other systems, this book really can help anyone who is organizationally challenged, and even people who have a passion for organizing. It's fun to learn new techniques and to see how other people are doing it. I do have primarily a mom in mind, but anyone can pick up this book. But the reason I had a mom in mind is I just felt like the books out there, as I had stated earlier, just were not thinking about, like, it is all fine and dandy to declutter and to do, have a planner and to do all of these other things that we're told to do in the organizational world. But if you have little people waking up and destroying everything that you've worked on, it doesn't help. And so I really wanted to help people who have other people living in their home. So it could just be that you're married and you're looking for some advice on how to get two people to function. I mean, boy, you can breeze through this book if it's just you at home, but a lot of times it is everyone else you're trying to help manage as well. So I tried to take that into consideration and just know that I struggle too. And so this is from a heart of someone who struggles. And these are the things that when I have these systems working, it is life-changing, and I get it. And so it's not written from someone who's just totally organized, has always been organized, and has no clue where the struggle points are. I get it. I get how the struggle is there and how it exists, and kind of how to climb out of that spot too.
And I would say the flavor of the book, there's a huge minimalist push, in our world.
It's big right now.
That, comes off a little shaming, frankly. It just, I just feel like, oh my gosh, if I'm not a minimalist, I'm horrible. And this book is just not that. You know what I mean? This is just like a heart-filled, practical tips. Like you said, it's like, it's like a mom coming up next to you and going, hey, let me share you some tips. Let me share you how it's working for me. And if this will work for you, I hope it does. So, Kristi, not only can they get the book, which they can swipe up on their phone now and find the link to Amazon, but I also want to draw people's attention to your Instagram account, Kristi Clover, Kristi. You have clovers on everything. What the heck? So cool. I wish I had a name. My last name's Trotter. I don't think I want a horse on all this stuff.
You could. That could be fun.
I guess, yeah. So obviously Instagram and Instagram stories, but I really want to draw people's attention to your YouTube account, and we'll of course link that in the show notes. But you've got videos of how you declutter your garage. I know you've just gone through this home renovation that you talked about. Soon, I know they can subscribe now on YouTube, but what can they expect in the future on your YouTube channel that would be something they would want to watch?
Well, on YouTube, we actually have a whole new theme coming up. So we're calling it, my podcast is called Simply Joyful. And on YouTube, we're calling it Simply Joyful at Home. And so I'm going to be sharing a lot of the organizational tips that we used to survive the home renovation, but also just how we incorporated some of the organizational systems into the design, as well as just, home stuff. So here's an easy meal. Here's some hacks. So a lot of home hacks and life hacks and mom hacks and whatever kind of, tips. But I love helping people just with practical advice since, I've been married for 22 years. We've got 5 kids. My oldest is 17. My youngest is 6. So I'm still in the throes of having little kids, but I get it. I also have older kids. So I've been doing this for a while. So I love encouraging moms who are just at any stage in their parenting, just to see that there are simpler ways of doing things, because too often we are stuck watching the same type of perfection on social media that we always see. And I want people to step away from that and be like, I can do this, and this is how.
I love it. All right. Simply Joyful podcast as well, wherever people get their podcasts. So obviously we'll link all of that in the show notes. Kristi, thank you. Love your energy. Love your organization. I'm really surprised in the background of watching in the video how messy your house is, though. My goodness, in the background, it's a disaster. All that laundry behind you and everything.
Oh, my goodness.
I'm kidding. No laundry behind Kristi.
There's flowers.
Thanks for being on the show, Kristi. I appreciate it.
Oh, of course. Thank you so much for having me on. This was really fun.
Thank you for listening to my conversation with Kristi today. What an incredible woman she is. And I want to encourage you to follow her on social media, especially on Instagram. All the links to her social media accounts are available in our show notes by swiping up now or going to insporising.com. And while you're at it, follow us, Inspiration Rising, on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Simply search Inspiration Rising, or you can use the username Inspo Rising on all platforms. May you be inspired by Kristi to declutter and organize your life so that you can have space to dream, set your goals in motion, and create a hospitable environment for family and friends.